as a way to wrap up this 9 weeks of looking at freeing ourselves from identification. It's a broad question. So, this slide really represents a lot of different identities. Some of them are quite famous. Bill Gates is a famous rich man, white man. Haley Wickenheiser is a famous woman hockey player. So, a bit of a stereotype about male hockey players being broken there. Greta is that young activist who's inspired the world a few years ago and continues to. And we've got stuff about gender expression identity. We've got different colors of skin, poor, rich, father with his baby, a group of people of different ages and skin colors. And we just have such a variety, is what I was trying to get at with this slide, of the way we express ourselves and the way we believe different identities. And also, we have so much investment in our identities because we're not ever really taught or encouraged to look at, well, this is an identity. It's formed from these experiences, and that's part of who I am. And for the most part, we tend to really attach ourselves to our identities. So a lot of our identities are really welcome. And whether it's a welcome or an unwelcome identity, we do definitely, human beings, we identify ourselves with our circumstances and our roles. So I wanted to pause here for a moment and just to have a minute or so to think about some of the ways that you identify yourself. If you're at a gathering of some kind and someone says, "So tell me about yourself. Who are you? What do you do? What are you interested in?" What would you say? And if you wanted to write some of those down, that would be fine too, or keep a mental list. And as you're looking at that list, which of these identities are welcome and deliberate? So if you trained for years to be a doctor or a chef or a musician, you can be very proud of your hard work, your accomplishments, the joy you take in music now that you know how to do it. There's all of these different identities that we have that can be really deliberate, and some of them, especially with career and talents. We can also identify ourselves as someone who drives a sports car or someone who loves dogs, or there's a lot of different identities. So which of those are welcome and which of those have you put a lot into? And as you're looking at these, just always remain aware of your body, your breath. We're looking at thoughts in the mind, particularly when we're looking at identification. We're working with thoughts in the mind, and very likely has a residence in our body as well. And then notice which of your identities just kind of happened to you because of your birth or circumstance. For instance, I'm a white person, I'm neurotypical, I'm queer. What are some of those identities? Our socioeconomic class is often part of that, whether we are the same as we were or similar to when we were a child, or it's different now. What are the things that just kind of happened and you didn't really deliberately pursue them? And another question might be to look at which of these have changed over time. So, someone who's become an accomplished chef as an adult, that would not have been their identity as a child, for instance. But someone who loves to ride their bike, might be the similar as a child, as an adult. Some things really last through our lives, and some things are much more changeable. Another minute or so just to kind of sense into what your identities are, which ones are welcome, which ones you put a lot into, and which are more circumstantial. And now we come to something that's a little bit more activating. So, really try to stay present in your body as you're looking at these as well. So, what are your identities that are unwelcome or maybe shaming? So, some of these could be assumptions. People make wrong assumptions about us all the time. And often they're based on stereotypes, which we've looked a lot at: body size, behavior, addictions, all kinds of things like that. But then there's a more intense version of this. So, what are your identifications around having been shamed maliciously, gossiped about? And some of us will have had really intense experiences with this, some would have had less intense. But I'm sure we all know what this is about. It could be slut shaming, could be being made to feel unwelcome or less than, like there's something not quite good enough about us. Body size, rich, poor, smart, not, addictions, skin color, who we hang out with, our health, all of these other things we could be excluded because of. Let's take a couple of minutes here, really have a look at what are these unwelcome identities that have been thrust on us from outside. And maybe we have internalized them, and maybe not. Maybe we're working with letting go of those. Stay really soft in your body, really connected with your breath. Some of these could go back to childhood, some of them might be more of an adult experience. And notice the continuity of some of these. Something might have happened when you were a child or a teenager, that you were shamed around something, and it's still quite alive for you now. You can still really see that you're working at undoing that conditioning, or you are likely to have a shame response when it comes up. You look at yourself in the mirror as you're walking by or in a window or something, it's like, oh, and you get that bit of contraction. And then let yourself kind of bring that little bit of the inquiry to a close. Either make a note if there's something that's come up that seems kind of intense or surprising, or just to let it kind of go to the background again for a minute. Sometimes when we're looking at these things, it can be a bit activating. So we might want to put our hand on our heart or take a few softer breaths. So let's work with this structure from Dan McClintock with the Killaby Inquiries. On the left, to the outside of our body on the left is our conditioned beliefs. To the outside of the body on the right is freedom from our conditioned beliefs. And we're in the middle. And let's start with really feeling into, if you were to put those beliefs that are conditioned on the left side of your body, however they might show up, it might be a sensation, an image. It could be something around identification or attachment to an identity. I worked hard to be a professional and I deserve respect, or I hate the way people assume things about me because I'm differently abled, or whatever it might be. And then there's the beliefs that we've formed based on our experiences. I'm a failure because I'm fundamentally flawed. So before we go into any inquiry, we just tune in. What is it that's over there in that kind of swamp on the left side of us? All of our experiences of being shamed, all of our identifications that feel sticky, anything that's holding you back from freedom. And then bring yourself over to the right hand side of your body, over to the right, just on the outside of your body, and notice what's there. So this is open, it's spacious. In this freedom, we know that our identifications and roles, they are a part of us, they're part of our human experience, and it's not all of who we are. And we tend to have a really close, welcoming relationship with them. So we're not feeling like there's something wrong with us because we have had experiences of a certain kind. And what does it feel like if you let those words fall? Notice your being, your consciousness. So the freedom is kind of on two levels. One is the freedom from shame and from stickiness with our identification. And the other is that we know that we are more than our human experiences. There's more to us than that. In the meditation tradition I'm in, sometimes we'll say ever pure, ever wise, ever free. I love that phrase. So as we come into our inquiry, we acknowledge that we have a human life and experience, and that this is happening in a greater space of awareness, however we might want to put that. But that what's happening over there to the left of our body really affects us. And the inquiry that we can do can help us to be free, can help us to live more on the right-hand side. So one of the questions you might ask is, who am I without my identities? So that's more of a direct awareness inquiry. Getting more specific, we could ask something like, I can be authentic with rich and powerful people. So if we have any kind of core deficiency beliefs around, I'm not rich enough, I'm not powerful enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not as good as, that reverse inquiry can bring that up. Or maybe we can say that with complete confidence. We don't identify ourselves as being less than because of money or power. So it can be an interesting thing to know. Another reverse inquiry could be, I am neutral about my status as a popular musician or whatever it might be for you. I enjoy it, I like it, but it's okay with me. I'm neutral about it. Or we might feel there's a lot of attraction there, or it's really important to me that people know and that they treat me well. And the same can be around my own unwelcome identities. Can we be neutral around how other people see us or how we've identified ourselves? So let's take several minutes to work with this. Any one of those three inquiries or anything else that might be coming up for you. Stay really connected with your body, your breath, your own kindness. And if anything is kind of sticky or distressing, we could always use one of the tools to lessen the intensity a bit. We could do some tapping on our forehead. Take your attention away from the thoughts, the words, and pictures, and just into the sound of the tapping sensation on your forehead. We could put words or pictures into a frame, look at it on the other side of the room, put it into a frame, and notice the space on the outside. Those tools that we have of breaking some of the trance of something that's too intense. Always come back to breathing. What is it that's over on that conditioned belief pile on the left that's holding you back, that's limiting your freedom? And take at least some of the time to really feel into what it's like on the right side. What would freedom be like? What do you have to let go of or heal to be free? And letting go doesn't mean forgetting or shutting down parts of ourselves. It really means accepting fully and completely, yes, this was my experience. These are the beliefs I formed. And I've been able to really come to a place of acceptance and unconditional love where I don't see myself as lacking or wrong anymore. It's part of my experience. And it's okay with me. And I know that that's not all of who I am. So another minute or so on this. Notice what's coming up. Notice what's coming up in the inquiry. Maintain that awareness of your body and breath, of this orientation of kindness, welcoming. And then let's focus for a few minutes before we finish on freedom. Notice your response to these words, I am free. And sitting with those words over time can be very interesting because it tends to bring up then all of the places where we're not free. But in this moment, we're kind of sitting with it as a maybe an aspiration or a future tense. I've let go of my attachment and resistance to my identities. So both sides of the coin. I've let go of attachment and resistance to my identities. And I know myself as more than my identities and roles. So if that were completely true for you right now in this moment, notice the space that your body is occupying. And become aware of your being, your consciousness, what it is that's ever pure, ever wise, ever free. Tune into that. And if it's not, if your mind is engaged, if it's not kind of calm and clear, don't worry about that. Just tune in. Notice your body, the space your body is occupying. And notice who it is that's aware of your experience right now. There's a higher level of the mind that knows everything that's going on in the mind body. Attune yourself to that knowing. And if there's something that's in the way of this freedom, notice what it is. It could be a feeling in the body, it could be a fear of what would happen if we really do let go of all of our identities. Who would we be then? And would that be safe? And see if you could let those be seen as thoughts or felt as energies or emotions. And notice the space itself. Notice the awareness that's always here. It's unchanging. It doesn't depend on whether you're having a good day or a bad day. It's the same when you were 3 years old and 25 and today. Attune to that part of you that doesn't change. The space of awareness, your being, however the words might be, and let all of the words go and rest in the experience itself, in the knowing. And on one level, we are human. We have our own personal experiences. If you were thinking about this as like a lake or an ocean, that would be the top layer. Our experiences, our identifications, our emotions. But that top layer of the ocean is part of the larger ocean. It's not separate from that. And that ocean is the same for all of us. That our being is the same. And try not to get caught up in the words of that. Just sit with it for a moment. I'm free. And notice that on one level or on one part of you, that's always already true. And on another part, it's not true. So attune to that vast space of awareness. Where you're always already free. If you were to come back into that awareness of the left side, the right side, and you in the middle, notice that that whole structure is in the larger space of awareness. It's all part of what's coming and going in experience. And then let go of everything. Bring your hand to your heart. Feel the warmth of your hand. Bring your attention to a warm golden glow of light at the heart center. Let that permeate the whole space, the space of your body, the space of awareness. And then when you're ready, open your eyes.